हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू एकम एकेडमी। आज है 28 जनवरी 2025। वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस वन मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक। आगे वी आर गोइंग टू हैव यूनियन बजट एंड व्हाट इज द फंडिंग विच वी आर गोइंग टू गिव फॉर द क्लाइमेट एक्शन, what was the past funding we have given, what is the necessary for the funding to be given as a climate action, that is what we are going to see. So the budget which is there, that should reflect the seriousness of the government in integrating climatic competitiveness into India's fiscal framework. So is it going to create that particular nature of climatic competitiveness? Is budget which we are going to create, would that have the framework of the climatic action or not? That is what we are going to see here. So if you could see the context, the financial year, fiscal year 26, union budget must address India's climate goals by prioritizing. So in this particular segment, budget may it has to prioritize renewable energy, decarbonization, circular economy, green finance and climate resilient measures. So if you could see this particular segment, financial year 26 which is there, the next 25, 26 which is going to be there, it must address this particular segments. Otherwise, the budget which is there, that is not going to reflect any kind of the climatic action given. So is the next government, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, is she going to focus upon green economy or not? Or decarbonizing the economy or green finance or not? That is what we are going to check. So focus on climate action amidst urgent challenges. With only 5 years left to meet India's interim net zero targets, and our Prime Minister in COP 28, COP 29, COP 27 se leke, if you see, our Prime Minister has spoken regarding with net zero targets, that India will reach somewhat net carbon neutrality. वैसे we have a target up to 2070, but we have certain interim targets of net zero. So this is not the entire target of net zero. Net zero is nothing but the amount of carbon released into the atmosphere and the amount which is absorbed. The absorbing has to be more than the released entity of the carbon into the atmosphere. In that 2070 target, in between we have 2050 target and 2070 longer target. In that, within the 5 years, 2030, we have one particular interim goal. Are we going to achieve that particular goal or not? That is what we are going to check out. The budget must prioritize policies addressing climate change. This is one particular segment which you have to remember. And extreme weather events and global climate commitments necessitate immediate and decisive steps to protect vulnerable populations. So there has to be global climate commitments. India should not just keep the environmental segment on the piece of paper, saying that we are going to do this, intended nationally determined contributions, we are going to give this. PM has given a 5-line agenda. If you go and see the COP 26 and 27, you will come to know. In that particular agenda, if you go and see in the Glasgow summit, you will understand what are the promises which Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of India, has given as such. So it should reflect in the budget. Tab jaake baat banega, theek hai? So past achievements in climate initiatives, if you see, the government has introduced impactful programs like PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, support for EV charging, electronic vehicles charging का support दिए थे. And please try to focus upon this particular scheme, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. And infrastructure of this particular electric vehicle charging, government has created a segment. And funding for offshore wind energy projects. If you see, we have certain amount of wind energy projects which have been declared as such. And along with that, National Green Hydrogen Mission. It is one of the most important aspects which we have spoken in COP 27 summit, 28, COP 29 also, which have received increased funding. Please try to focus upon this National Green Hydrogen Mission. This is important for UPSC 2025 preliminary examination. What is green hydrogen and how we are going to overcome the energy crisis which we have on the basis of this green hydrogen. And India's renewable energy capacity stands at 203.18 gigawatt for short of 2030 of 500 gigawatt. So like if you see, within 5 years we can't reach this particular estimation which Modi has promised in his Panch Pataka 5-shot game which he has promised, requiring significant acceleration. So we might not reach the 500 gigawatt, but we might reach closer to it, somewhere 350, 380, 400, we can reach to that extent. So we have to focus upon this increasing of renewable energy capacity as soon as possible. And key priorities for financial year 26 budget. What are the key priorities which India should focus? First, strengthening the green energy transition. First point is we have to strengthen this green energy transition. This is one area where already the scheme which has been kept by the government, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana, despite 1.45 crore registrations, only 6.34 lakh installations have been completed, indicating major implemental changes. In India, policy framework is good, but we have implementation bottlenecks. And it is you, bureaucrats, who have to make this particular implementation to be done. See, politicians will be having vision for a policy, but it is the bureaucrats who will make it into reality. है ना? ये vision था, they have already made it a policy and they have made it as a yojana. Now it depends upon the executives of bureaucrats, group of bureaucrats who have to make this implementation effectively happen. And increased financial support should prioritize the renewable energy service company model to make solar energy affordable for low income households. Whenever we speak about solar energy, the first thing which comes into our mind is solar energy ka initial investment jo hai, that is very high. So budgetary constraints and fiscal support has to be provided to these companies to make solar energy more affordable to reach our climatic goal actions. और renewable energy का जो 500 gigawatt था और net zero emission था, non fossil fuel energy, to reach this we are in required with this particular thing. Next, ये green energy transition में expanding solar manufacturing. Domestic production meets only 40% of solar panel demand, with local panels costing 65% more than that of imports. So obviously the budget must expand production linked incentives for solar module supply chain to address this particular gap. So here there is a loophole in supply and demand constraint regarding with the solar panels, where local panels which are there, they are costing more. So government has to focus upon something related with this production linked incentive scheme, and it has to prioritize this particular solar manufacturing so that demand can be met. Agar demand, if it is not fulfilling, supply side constraint will come and there is a huge surge in prices which might automatically make people not to follow that particular path as such. Renewable energy potential in railways. Railways mein the amount of electricity which we use, that is very, very huge. है ना? So Indian Railways land and corridors could support up to 5 gigawatt of solar and wind energy. Public-private partnerships should be encouraged to unlock this potential. So Indian Railways have huge amount of potential as such, but isme like government is not investing. Actually, government itself is trying to privatize these particular railways. So why government thinks to invest into this particular renewable energies? So as we see these renewable energy potentials in railways which are there, we have focused this particular segment, and isme we have to bring up public-private partnership model. And addressing the EU carbon border adjustment mechanism. This is in news. This Europe, don't know what it does. European countries ever have this mindset of exploitation itself. Whenever there is a target which is kept for these countries under Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement, now these European unions are coming up with carbon border adjustment mechanism. The EUCBM, effective January 2026, which is going to come upcoming year, will levy carbon taxes of 20 to 50% on $8.22 billion worth of Indian exports annually. So isme if you could calculate 20% also, we would be paying almost $10 $10 billion. And MSME is contributing 30% to GDP and 45% to exports, face major risk in it. So, jo bhi like exports which are going to this European Union or European countries, they are from MSMEs. Obviously, they will face the problem of increase in prices. Finally, the good, when the price is surcharged, the domestic demand of that particular product in the European market would be reduced. So, this is a tussle which is going to happen because of the carbon border adjustment mechanism. See, developed countries ka yahi hai. Developed countries want to squeeze the blood of developing countries. Pehle in the name of colonialism, baad mein in the name of environmental friendly, and now on the name of carbon border adjustment mechanism, if you see. A dedicated climate action fund, similar to that of Japan's Green Transformation Fund, can support decarbonization in vulnerable export sectors and build MSME capacity of CBM complaints. So, we can build some climate action fund, and this CBAM complaints which is there, we can tackle this climate action fund with this particular complaints and equate, and this has to be done by the government as such. And this is not a new model. Already we have this particular segment in Japan as a green transformative fund, but we are changing the name as climate action fund as such. And carbon border mechanism, adjustment mechanism will be implemented from 1st January 2026. It is designed to prevent carbon leakage by imposing carbon taxes on imported goods with high carbon footprints. So, CBM applies to the sector like iron, steel, cement, aluminium, fertilizers, electricity and hydrogen. Carbon levies are expected to increase the worth of that product to 20 to 50% value. It poses a significant challenges for Indian MSME sectors, as I have said. The mechanism aims to align global trade with climatic goals, and incentivizing exporters to adopt greener production methods is one of the goal which they are saying, but their goal is something else. They want to achieve their particular Kyoto targets or other targets by creating this tax burden on these particular developing countries as such. Clear? And promoting a circular economy is need of her. A circular economy which is there, it could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 44% and yield 40 lakh crore annually by 2050. If you could see, if we are following this circular economy, this is what will happen. Greenhouse gas emissions would be reduced by 44% and 40 lakh crore annually would be remained by 2050. And budget should incentivize recycling and refurbishment through certain processes, like a 150% weighted deduction on investments in recycling infrastructure and accelerated depreciation benefits for circular economy assets. So, these two things when they are followed, then this recycling and refurbishment, which is a circular economy, that would be in the transition phase, which could also contribute towards the same target of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions by 44%. Establishing a sovereign green bond framework to finance circular economy projects is also essential in this regard. So, circular economy is need of the hour, which government has to focus along with the funding, and also involving and inviting the public-private partnership models. Enhancing climatic resilience through insurance. India's insurance penetration dropped from 4% in the financial year 23 to 3.7% in 24. Tax deduction for insurance companies offering climate-linked policies and lower GST rates for such premiums can improve the resilience. In India, this particular insurance penetration that has increased a lot, but slowly again, if you see in the last fiscal year, that has decreased. If government creates the tax deduction for insurance companies offering climate-linked policies, if there is any climate-linked policies made by these insurance companies, if tax deductions are given the benefits for these insurance companies and lower GST rates for the premiums, which can improve this particular resilience. Clear? ये प्रीमियम में अभी भी I think so 18% लग रहा है इस particular insurance company का. अगर government थोड़ा बहुत शांत होकर इस particular GST थोड़ा कम करे, chances are there इसको surcharge करके 3.7 से फिर 4 से आगे बढ़ेगा. Done. And advancing the green finance is also one most important thing. If you see, standardized green financed definitions can attract share of 162.5 trillion required for India's climatic goals. है ना. Green finance is one particular thing which India has to focus. Allocation should focus on creating a climate finance taxonomy. And verification systems and financial institutions, capacity buildings, all these have to be developed. So differential tax treatment for green investments can further catalyze this particular progress. So now the budget which is there, that has to focus upon revitalizing the goals and the targets which we have, and what is the budgetary allocation. If government can't do, how it can involve the private companies. If it want to involve the private companies directly, what are the benefits government is going to do for the private companies is one thing. And indirectly how these private companies and the final consumer are going to benefit if we are having this particular redressal mechanism is the question of the hour. Got this point? And conclusion में अगर देखेंगे, climate policies are critical to maintaining trade and investment competitiveness 100%. And now climate policies के ऊपर, if Nirmala Sitharaman is not speaking, if she is only speaking on popcorn and caramel tax, then गए. Integrating climate action into fiscal planning, पैसे is key to meet global sustainability standards and leveraging market opportunities. ये देखो भाई, integrating climate action into fiscal planning is most important key to meeting global sustainability standards and leveraging market opportunities. अगर global sustainability standards चाहते हो, if you are wish to do this and if you want to leverage the market opportunities, then do this climate action. Abhi within few days you will come to know what sister will speak and what she has addressed. And coming to the question of the day, already in 2022 such kind of question has been appeared in GS2. Clean energy is the order of the day. Describe briefly India's changing policy towards climate change in various international forums in the context of geopolitics. This was GS paper 2 question. Similar to that of question, practice question I have given. How can the union budget fiscal year, financial year 26 strengthen India's response to climate change through renewable energy, MSME support and circular economy measures? Here the keywords include circular economy, climate action into fiscal planning are the keywords which you have to focus, and what are the areas which India has to focus, that you have to concentrate. Clear? So this was the summary, but ये उतना ज़्यादा important नहीं है. Abhi, if government is doing the climatic action or if the budget is somewhat eco-friendly, then chances would be very great that questions are going to come from that particular segment. So hope everyone has enjoyed this particular video. Thank you for watching this. Have an awesome day. Jai Hind.